Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm staying home, isolating, and I'm painting my comfort roses. Well, a rose actually, with some petunias. I haven't painted them before. I hope you like the video. Please give me a thumbs up if you do, and thanks for watching. Here's my usual palette of water mixable oils. I have titanium white, cadmium yellow light, raw sienna, raw umber, French ultramarine blue, sap green, and alizarin crimson. The first thing I'm going to do is paint in a background using cadmium yellow light and some sap green, probably some French ultramarine blue, maybe a little raw umber, all of those colours. I want a sort of sunny green background. I'm pretending that I'm in a flower bed and I have petunias and a rose hanging over from a shrub, and I want that sort of sunny green look with some hints of dark around the edges. So I've got all those colours I mentioned, and I'm going to use my Dollar Tree Kabuki brush. I love these brushes. And with a circular motion, I'm just going to blend it all so that it's softer. Not always a circular motion, I guess. That's good enough, I feel. So I'm using a small round and raw sienna. And I'm going to pretend that I have a rose coming in from a shrub up here somewhere, and it's hanging over a petunia bed. And we'll give it lots of leaves, maybe. And the rose itself, this would be the middle, it'll be in this quadrant. And I want a white rose, so I'm going to use quite a lot of raw sienna. And that will be the base for my white rose. And you know, I might put a little, just a touch of alizarin in there too. Because when I draw the titanium white petals in, it will draw in these colours and we'll just get faint touches. The same with the leaves. And you know what, while I'm at it, why don't I put some alizarin here? I might make this a bud actually. Maybe a second bud here. Yeah, I like that. So I've mixed some sap green with some cad yellow, and I'm going to just draw in some leaves for my petunia. Just sort of, this is not the finished leaf, but I'm just putting in some greens around here. They're a bit straggly, aren't they? Petunias. I didn't discover petunias until I moved to Canada, and that was about 100 years ago. And I'd never seen a petunia before then. And I planted them all over my patio. And I discovered that in the evening, they have the most wonderful scent. And it was thrilling to find that out. So I'm going to, they have sort of 5 petals, but they're all sort of joined in. in one, so I think I'm not using a big enough brush for this. So we'll just sort of make it round for now. I'm just using straight alizarin. I might mix in some white with that. And a little raw sienna just to bring it down to a better pink. I like pink petunias. It just reminds me of my first days in Canada. Okay. I think that's good enough. And we might get some little ones peeping up. Like that. Oh, I've lined them up. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I do that. I'm going to erase these two just with my finger. That's okay. It just gives texture to the background and it's not a problem. All right. We're getting there. I'm mixing sap green with some French ultramarine blue, and I'm going to put a dab of raw sienna in there, and it's going to give me a very dark green. And I'm going to put some leaves peeping out here. That's a bit too dark, I feel. Needs to be more green than that. It doesn't really matter. And when I draw my petals in, it will pick up that darkness and it will give a translucency to the petals. While I've got that dark on my brush, I'm just going to put a bit more here. My brushes are getting old. I've had them for about a year, but I use them. I paint about 3 pictures a week. I do clean and condition them, but they're cheap brushes. All right, I'm just brushing that out so that it's a sort of a misty background. And I'm going to add a lot of water on my brush, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to, I think, work on my rose stems first, because they're a little indeterminate. So I've got a mixture of raw umber and raw sienna, making it a little bit darker. And I'm going to add a little more alizarin to that. And of course these are the old-fashioned roses from my childhood. I lived on a 500-year-old farm. My dog is snoring in the background. And I don't know how old these roses were. They were probably quite ancient. There was a lovely rose garden there. And all the roses in those days were thorny. I think they've been bred out now, haven't they? You don't see roses with thorns anymore, not in the grocery store anyway. I think I should have done that with my liner brush. And I'm going to just take those out a little bit. Oh, that's nasty. Okay, I'm going to take that out a lot. Okay, I had to adjust this a little bit because I made my thorns too big. So I just sort of do a straight line and then taper it down. And they're sort of on opposite sides. I hope you can see that. While I've got my rigger, I'm going to, wait a minute. I'm going to put in my buds a little more definitely. And while I'm holding my rigger and I've got paint on it, I'm going to put in my sepals. Well, there's a sort of round base, I don't know what it's called, I've forgotten. And that's where the hip or the seeds develop in there. Okay. Usually see 5. All right. I'm working on my rose first. I've got straight titanium white on my brush. Try to get the lumps off. And I'm going to say that it sort of is looking down this direction. So I'm going to, oh my goodness, too much water. More paint needed, less water. Okay, I'm going to put in my first petals. I haven't given myself enough space on my palette to it's got a bit dark because I picked up too much green in the wrong places, but it's not bad. It's a start. I think it should be more this way, and I'm not sure. I have to work on it. And now, like I say, these petunias have 5 lobes. I'm going to put in a petal here. I'm going to put in more leaves here. Just sort of rough leaf shapes. I'm going to make these a little bit darker. I think we need oh my goodness, my dog is snoring up a storm. You usually see rose leaves in sort of groups of 3. It's not a very good brush. It's split at the ends again. This is a bit better, it's holding together. That's a bit better. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to have a cup of tea and think about it, look at it, see what I need to do next. So I've still got quite a lot of work to do on these flowers, and I'm going to start on the rose first, and I'm going to turn my painting upside down because I feel I can see the rose better at that angle. And I'm loading my brush with titanium white. Haven't got much space on this palette. Sometimes when I'm painting roses, I'll use a separate palette. Okay, so I'm going to put in some petals, and I'm going to draw this green in as I do that. And you see it sort of gives a translucent quality. Putting in smaller ones. And another row. Then I'm going to put some going this way with just a sideways swipe of my brush. And with the flat of my brush, I'm going to sort of just show the tops. And in a little while, I'll come in and reinforce the whites on this rose. Because as it dries, it will lose its brightness. And so I'll reinforce it in a little while. And I won't put the center of the rose in for now. I'll leave that, and I'm going to work on the petunias. So I'm going to turn my painting around. You can see that rose looks a little bit better. It's still a little bit wonky, I think, but I'll work on it. Okay, that's made the centers a little darker. Now I'm going to put a little light on the a little more light on here. I'm going to put some lights on my leaves, just a little bit. I work with whatever's on my brush, really. I'm going to put some just darker colour on the side of my leaves that's not getting as much light. And I'm going to use my rigger, and I'm going to put some dark on here. It's just a mixture on my palette of sap green, raw umber and French ultramarine blue. I might mix a little alizarin in there because I feel that it makes the painting a little brighter, and it adds a little liveliness, which I really like. Okay, I'm going to look at petunias again. Well, I've been looking at petunias and I feel that the centres could be darker. Then they sort of have a light dab in the middle. And I'm thinking that might be too dark. And I also think I could have more petunias. So I'm going to put one here. Oops. Put another one here. Perhaps one in there somewhere. One up here. Oh my gosh, look at how these leaves dripped. That was turning it upside down. I obviously had too much water on my brush when I did those. I think that's just keep dabbing away until I get it how I like it. Just going to use some raw umber and dot in some centers here. And I'm going to mix an orangey yellow and mix on top. I still need to work on that rose. I like that orange that I mixed, so I'm going to put it on here. Still not happy with these petunias. Well, my palette was kind of messy, so I had to put some white on a tea plate. That's all I have. So I'm going to just add to my rose. I think I'm going to leave that rose before I mess it up, which I'm quite likely to do, and put a bit more. There, and I'm going to add more white to my petunias. I have never painted petunias before, so this is a new experience. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to dot sort of a greenish white in the middle. That's too light. Try this. Not really sure what I'm doing there, but I feel that it looks better with the center. I'm going to add a dark center to this one, and I'll put something green in the middle. Now I'm going to add a few more leaves and then watch it for a while, see if I still like it. Ooh, I might add some white down here. I always have to do that because you see things, if you give it some time, you see things that you might miss, you know, so I do tend to fiddle quite a bit when I should leave well alone. But I think I could do more work on the leaves for sure. I'm adding a little pink to some of the leaves. I think it looks nicer. And you do see that, don't you? That's my cat. coming up to see what I'm doing. I think that looks good. I'm just going to put some leaf shapes in here. Just sort of scrub them in a little bit. Something darker. I think that's some parrots I can hear outside. You know what, I think I'm going to leave it. I don't think I can do much better. That's my first attempt at petunias. I'm okay with the rose, I think. Put a little something darker in there. Oh, sorry, that's my cat. And I know, you like to paint with me, don't you, eh? I know. That's Chrissy. She's all right until she starts to gnaw my easel. Okay, that's it. I don't think I'm going to fiddle with that anymore. Thank you so much for watching. Stay home, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.